And this session will be recorded in order to give other researchers the opportunity to make use of these topics that we will discuss today. Today we will discuss two topics. The first one is consciential freedom, and it is presented by Eduardo Vicenzi. And we will have 40 minutes in total for this topic. Eduardo will present 20 minutes, and we will have time for 20 minutes of debate. The second one is orthothosene. This is the topic. The researcher is Alexandre Zaslavsky, and he is also a long-term researcher. And to make a long story short, I would hand over to Eduardo so that he can start with his presentation. And I would ask questions afterwards. Eduardo, please.
Okay. So, people, good afternoon. Now I will talk a little about my research, consciential freedom. I am put the second slide here. So my objectives in this presentation, and then the research. So the presentation is just to present some initial findings that I had in my research, and I started this research in 2006, and it is in standby since 2008 because during this time from 2008 until now, I was make a research in another topics, another subject. But when Paulo Freire invited me to present one of my research, and then came to me to present this subject because some synchronicities make me feel that is the time to talk a little about this topic. So my research, the objective is to deepen the understanding of this subject. In my thing, because we did to aim or to achieve the highest freedom level possible, considering our evolutionary level. So what I noticed is that the freedom has a relation with the evolutionary level of the consciousness. But some of them, or some of us, we have more freedom according to our evolutionary level, but we are not using this freedom. For some reasons that I will try to explain, we manifest ourselves in a below level of freedom, below that our evolutionary level could allow us to manifest. So the next start in my research is the definition. So I think when we start to make a research in some specific subject, it's very important to us to define exactly what we are studying, what we are researching, in order to be very clear to ourselves what means this subject, this topic. So in the case, this is my own definition. It's not a definition from conscientiology in general. It's just my definition. So it's the faculty to apply the free will through the mental soma without interference from other vehicles of manifestation or external agents like extraphysical consciousness, intraphysical consciousness, or some holothosenes or something like that. So mesological or multidimensional agents or factors that can influence in our free will, in our freedom. So this definition is important to understand that when I say through the mental soma, is because our psychosoma has a lot of influence in our decisions and our free will. And sometimes we think that we took a decision based just in the rationality in our mental soma, but indeed there is some motivations, emotional motivations, or need of affection, or some necessity to defend our self-esteem or our self-image, or sometimes to protect ourselves because we have a fear to do something that should be actually based in the mental soma. So this is the characteristics that I research about the consciential freedom. Is relative and limited because we are intraphysical consciousness. We are here in this intraphysical life. Of course, we are not totally free. We cannot be free. We have a body that we should to maintain, to keep. We are in the restriction of our lucidity. We have not the access to our hollow memory in terms to recover all information or experience that we had during the extraphysical period. So this is relative, and there is a relation, a direct relation with the maturity level of the consciousness. So the tendency is, the more evolved the consciousness is, the more freedom they have. The scope of the consciential freedoms. So where we manifest exactly our level of freedom as a consciousness. For the extraphysical dimension, for instance, when we are out of the body, we can measure our level of the freedom in terms of contacts with the extraphysical consciousness, things that we can do, things that we cannot do. For instance, intraphysical dimension. So our manifestations, how free is our manifestations in these intraphysical dimensions? And the most important that I put here in bold is intraconsciential dimension. So manifest my freedom inside myself, in my decision, through my thosene, my thoughts and sentiments. Another thing is how can I measure the level of the freedom? So I think the most important measure that we can verify is our level of self-imperturbability. It means if we have some degree of perturbance in our manifestations, in our feelings, in our well-being, it means that we are not totally free. So when we have a lot of experience, and this experience don't affect our level of imperturbability, I can say that my level of the freedom is high. Another thing is that increased by cosmoethic law of cause and effect. I mean, the freedom has a direct relation with the cosmoethic. The more cosmoethic we are in our manifestation, more freedom we will have to make choices or to manifest in these dimensions or extraphysical dimensions, whatever. And this I try to show how it works, the law of cause and effect. You are seeing this topics or not?
Yes.
Okay.
There was a graph right now. We can see that.
Okay. No, I'm on now because I noticed that there is a delay between my presentations and the presentation that you are seeing. Okay. So in this scheme, I am just trying to show how works the law of cause and effect related to our free will or our level of the freedom. For instance, here in the case, the manifestations start with our thosene. So I consider not just the act or the actions, but the thosene that is the cause. In this law of cause and effect, the thosene, our free will is the cause. And according to our level of cosmoethical, we can increase our free will in order to have more freedom, or we can decrease our free will in order to have more determinism in our life, or less opportunity to choose. What I can notice that the misuse of the freedom is the real reason for all loss of freedom or imprisonment that we have. So everybody has a certain level of free will, but when we use this free will in order not in a good way or not cosmoetically, we will lose our freedom according to the repetition of the same anti-cosmoethical behavior or manifestation. Okay, this restrictive factors. So what are the things that could, how I say, decrease or restrain our freedom, our consciential freedom? So here you can see this graphic. There's some how I say, some. Are you seeing this? Yeah. Okay. Now. Okay. So I noticed that some of these aspects has a direct relation, a factor that can restrict our freedom. The main is the holosoma. Holosoma is, we have a paragenetics, or we have a mental soma, psychosoma, and ergosoma and soma. All these vehicles have some limitations that can decrease or restrain our level, our freedom in this dimension. Mainly is the psychosoma, because in the past we had several experiences, several traumata, emotional traumata. This traumata influence in our decisions. The soma has the limitations, and ergosoma, for instance, the same like blockages, energetic blockage. All the level of health and in our allosoma has an impact in our freedom. The interpersonal relationships is the same thing. We can measure, including our freedom, the level of our freedom, just to observe the level of the harmony in our relationship with another consciousness, and the affection exchange, the connection with intraphysical consciousness. I am talking here in this topic about the intraphysical consciousness. The influence of the mesology, the intraphysicalization, it means the level of the consciousness we were in the extraphysical dimension during the intermissive period, when we were preparing our existence in this life. We had a lot of freedom, a lot of lucidity, and when we resummate, we lose this lucidity, and we are more vulnerable to accept the influence of the mesology. For instance, the values of the culture, our society values, the religion, or the holothosene where we live, where we manifest ourselves, and where we born, for instance, is the same impacting in our decisions, in our level of the freedom. Regarding the multidimensionality, our multidimensional self-awareness, how aware we are related to astrophysical dimensions, our astrophysical nature. So this makes us to understand a little more how the influence of the intraphysical society when we are not aware about our reality, astrophysical reality, and about the consciousness or the relationships that we have with the astrophysical factors, it influences a lot in our level of the freedom. The interactions with the astrophysical consciousness, the most of us are not aware that we have a lot of influence of the thosenes of the astrophysical consciousness. And so this multidimensional self-awareness gives us more, how I say, more lucidity to perceive that we are involved in the influence of astrophysical consciousness that interfere in our decisions. In my experience, it's very difficult to us to identify really what is our will, our decision, or the decision of other consciousness that are connected with us, that influence in our manifestations, in our thoughts, in our sentiments. The self-knowledge is very important also. To me, is a very important restrictive factors. If the level of the depth of our self-knowledge is very low, we are more vulnerable to accept the manipulation from the others that can impose to us some characteristics of our personality that actually we are not. So, or we don't have. This is the self-knowledge make us, when we are go deeper in our self-knowledge, and including to access our memory, hollow memory, and see the things that we did in the past, our lives in the past, and when we were less mature as we are now. This a lot of the people is like a prisoner of the past and try to avoid the self-knowledge because they don't want to see the real identity that we have. Another thing is the measurement. Oh, how can I measure my level of freedom just considering these factors? I noticed that in these two main topics, like a holosoma and interpersonal relationship, we can measure our level of the freedom according to in the case of interpersonal relationship, the harmony, the level of the harmony, the interpretation. Sometimes we live with persons that we have a lot of the problem to live together, a lot of conflict. It shows us that we are not free. Sometimes someone of our family, we have a big problem to solve. It's difficult in the relationship. It shows us that we have some kind of interpretation with this consciousness. The holosoma is the homeostasis, the level of homeostasis. The self-imperturbability is exactly in this scene. Now I choose some misconceptions about the freedom. Here you can see the pseudo-freedom that our society sometimes tries to show us that this means freedom, but actually is not freedom. Is a mistake. So independence from others. Some people think that to be independent means to have more freedom. But actually, it's not possible to us in this dimension, in every dimension, be totally independent of other consciousness. We have a relation of interdependence. It means I depend from the other the same way the other's consciousness depend of me. So we evolve together. We learn with other together. We evolve together. So we need to live together with the other consciousness in order to evolve faster, included to help this consciousness that in the past we caused some damage or some obstacle in their evolution. Life without problems. So many people think the life without problems is actually a lot of the freedom, because I don't have any problem. My life is very easy, and an easy life. It is a big mistake, because in the interphysical dimension, we are here to learn, to evolve, and we need problems. We need to face our limits. We need to get out of the zone, the comfort zone. And this is not freedom. Actually, it's not freedom. There is some consciousness, metaphysical consciousness, that trying to input, make a brainwashing, including the society, to give, try to live very easy without problems. Power and control, the same thing. A lot of people look for power because they feel that now I have more freedom. And control over other consciousness. Control means that you have a lot of insecurity. For these reasons, you need to control the situations, control the persons, control the behaviors. This is a lack of security, it's an insecurity. And you try to overcome or to compensate with the control. The habit of improvisation. So there are no commitments. Do have no plan. The things, our existential program in the astrophysical dimension, we plan our life. So it's important to us to plan, do whatever or whenever we want. It's the same thing. The life is not so. We have some commitments that we assume in the astrophysical dimensions during the intermissive period, to do things to get rid of them or other mistakes. We are not free. If we had to get rid, means that we have a prison. Do not have commitments. The same. Cognitive distortions. Not knowing what freedom really means. It was my case when I started to make this research, because I had a misconception about the freedom. I thought that I have freedom. And then I noticed during the consciential therapy that I didn't know exactly what freedom means. And then I started to do this research, not seeking freedom because we think that we already have it. It's a very logical consequence, but it's a cognitive distortion. Not using freedom because we think we do not have it, and not using freedom because in fact we do not want to be free. Unfortunately, there is a lot of this case. And the goals of the consciential freedom: self and hetero intrusion, all the stigmas, is the liberation of self and hetero intrusion, all the stigmas and orthothosene from the past, from the other lives, the ignorance and emotionality. We get rid from these things. Beliefs in conditioning, self-mimicries, excessive intraphysicalization. I thought about this. The acquisition of the parabrain predominance. We think more with our parabrain instead of our brain. The mastering of the holosoma, the mastering of our self-thosenity, the control of cosmic consciousness, the mega fraternity. It means to overcome our emotional impulses, alignment to the cosmic flow, the flow for the evolution, that we are in this flow.
Eduardo, we already entered the time for the debate.
Okay.
Okay.
So we can. This is actually the last slide, and then we can debate now. So if you have questions, I know that this is very fast, but if you have a question, please feel free to ask or to debate some things. For instance, this slide, expansion of the freedom. I told about self-research, how important is the self-research in order to not be manipulated by the others. The cognition, of course, we know that the ignorance about the things make us more slave from our emotions, our fears, of our impulse, our instinct. The assistance make us free also. When we do assistance, we get more and more freedom from the consciousness that we are connected. The interpretation, group of interpretation, we can quit little by little these connections, negative connections. So I started this debate to ask you guys what means freedom to you. Do you agree with this? The older, how to say, the older slide that they put here, for instance, this pseudo freedom.
I think a big step towards freedom is to recognize one's own fears.
Yes, yes.
Because sometimes in my own self-research, I realized that I have many unconscious fears that I'm not conscious about. And they take away a lot of freedom to act and to try new things, including self-doubt, for example. The fear of making mistakes.
This fears is a big issue because some of our choices, our decisions is based on our necessity to protect ourselves. So behind this, there is a fear that is sometimes difficult to identify. For instance, to give classes, and the person has fear to give in class because you are exposed yourself, and then you're looking for excuses to not to face this difficulty because you have a fear. And so this is just one example. This what you said is a very important topic, the fears, and I know that even when I started research, I noticed that there are some fears that I didn't know until I started to research and see my behaviors. I avoid certain kinds of challenges in my life and try to defend my freedom, not doing or not facing the problem. So, guys,
I think it might be a kind of circle, right? What Melanie said with the fears. If you experience these fears, even if they might be unconscious, you will try to avoid these challenges, as you said. But I think this has the effect that the fears will be growing. And this is a problem that you, as you might say before, that you decrease your level of freedom with time, not facing these challenges. So it's a kind of circle that you're in. And what caught my attention was the next slide you had, this self-assistance. There was mentioned self-assistance. So I think it's a very important topic connected to research, also to research and to find out about these fears, to face them, and while facing them, you give yourself self-assistance in order to overcome these fears and maybe break this cycle. Is it what you meant?
Yes, yes. When I put this self-assistance, I noticed that a lot of us in the conscientiology, the instructor of conscientiology, the teachers, they think I want to make assistance or doing penta or make it doing the clarification task, and then this is these things is from outside of you. But sometimes we have a lot of problem, like Melanie said, the fears that we have, the insecurity, or the need of affection. This is in my experience and another research that give me this information that the need of affection is a big issue in our decision. And then most of our decisions is based in to protect our self-image or to receive, how I say, the confirmation from other people or the admiration from other people, because we receive affection from them. And then we try to manifest ourselves, not to be free, but to supply this necessity of affection from others. And then when I say self-affection, we start to look inside ourselves and see how many feelings I am repressing in my manifestation. How many things that I would like to express myself, but I repress because I feel fear that they can be misinterpreted by others or not accepted by others. And now I can, I am exposed to the risk to not receive the admiration or the affection from another person. So the self-assistance for me is the biggest. I put here a little small ball, but actually this is the first step, is connected with the self-research. When we do a self-research, we can verify our level of dependency or level of vulnerability in our emotional area or the cytosol.
Hi, Eduardo. Very good. Yep. Please go ahead.
Yes, me? Right. I just wanted to say that it is our fears that keep us in the comfort zone. So it ends up by being self-intrusion in the end if we abide by them. So the only way, we talk a lot in conscientiology about facing your own fears. What we really mean in action is that we have to take action. And it's only by taking action, even if you are afraid, that you will be able to give yourself a feedback and to build on your self-confidence, really. That's what I think.
Yes. Yeah, this is a big issue, because I noticed that is because of our vulnerability, emotional vulnerability, of the necessity to receive affection from the others, or even to maintain our self-esteem in a level, reasonable level to us. We avoid to face our limits and to do more than we are, because that we are manifesting, because we have the risk to fail, to make mistakes, because you are doing something that you don't know, you don't master these things, because it's in your limit. And then when you try to do this, you are exposed to commit more mistakes. But if you think that make mistakes,
just go and be brave,
you down your self-esteem, you avoid make mistake, not facing, and not accomplish your existential problem. And so this is a big mistake. So the freedom is also the freedom to make mistakes. So there is a several topics that we can say about be authentic, be coherent. All these things make us have more freedom to be more, how I say, authentic, coherence, and make mistakes. And oh yeah, several things.
And the existential program, first things first, self-assistance comes first. Because if you don't assist yourself, you are in not the best position to assist others.
Yes.
Because
yes,
assisting
yes,
others is a thing, and this already goes into our group existential program, if you want. But first, you need to try to self-assist yourself. That is a must.
Yes, I think it is very important. And I noticed that some people from our group try to make this. It's just sometimes it's the orthothosene of the religion of the past that we need to sacrifice into just to help other people. Sometimes because of the guilty feeling that is also that decrease our freedom. The self-guilty make us a prison of our guilt. We are hostage of our guilt. Yes.
Yes, those conditionings keep you actually, if we seed, if we go by them, it will prevent us exactly from doing what we came here to do, from doing our existential program on a personal and on a groupal level, because it will all keep us sort of in the box, in the zone, not just of your self. Not just in your comfort zone, but also in the area where actually intrusion, self-intrusion, and intrusion occurs.
Yeah. This is a big issue, the self-intrusion, and so the freedom is to be the intruder. This is one of the objectives of these researchers, to help us to be free from intrusion. But what caught my attention is that I noticed when I was doing consciential therapy, and then I was defending my position, my pseudo freedom to avoid this, assume some responsibilities. Just I have no will to do this. This is not give me a pleasure to do this. And then I noticed that when the consciential therapist said, "You don't know what freedom means," and then at that moment, I was shocked, and then I realized that actually they has how I say reason, and to say that actually I didn't know exactly. And what I noticed is that the freedom, the definition that I could say is the freedom as when we accomplish our commitments that we assume in the period, strophysical period. If we are here in the strophysical dimension and that we don't accomplish or don't our commitments assumed in the strophysical dimensions, we are not free. Or we are commanded by our emotions or commanded by other consciousness. And then we put a label of I am free. I am do just what I want, I like to do. But you make a commitment, and in physical dimensions, you are very lucid when you decide. You are very euphoric, and then you came to the physical life. Now I have a chance to get more freedom. And then we are here, and then we start defending ourselves, our self-esteem, our self-image, and we forget our commitments. This is not freedom. Okay, and then, Regina.
Sorry, guys, our time for debate is already over. I'm very, very sorry about that.
Okay.
Could that be a quick question or?
Eduardo, I'd love to just make a comment. I love this topic too, so I'm so glad that you chose this topic. I think it's a really interesting framework, and it's like you've gone behind the scenes, and it's given me a framework by which to think about this, because we don't really have those frameworks, right? Or we haven't pulled them together. So sometimes you might have fear of moving forward and making a mistake, but other times you go ahead and you realize it's a mistake. So sometimes you don't know, you act like you think you have free will, but actually you don't, because of all the multidimensional aspects and the cosmoethical aspects. So I think it's super, super amazing what you've done. Also, I think there's a huge amount that we could investigate on the taking of the free will of others and the freedom of others based on the same framework. It's really, really interesting and probably worth looking at. And I think I'm wondering why self-assistance is quite small in terms of its volume. That was one thing that struck me.
There should be a bigger one.
Maybe, I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes, there's a process inside the system. Hetero assistant and self-assistant, yes. Okay,
exactly, and maybe you actually need to focus outside of yourself more, but you have to sort of maybe start with self-assistance too, or at least in parallel.
Yeah.
And the other thing was, I keep thinking self-acceptance, like the more that you can actually really self-accept yourself and be able to really accept others in all of our problems and our goodness, it seems the only way to real freedom as well. And I think that's must be part of the ego structures that we have and the defense mechanisms that really block our freedom. And you've touched on that. I just think that's probably quite for me, maybe it's more of a major component.
Yeah. Thank you.
So it's just more, it's more comments, but I think it's really, really helpful. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
For your thoughts.
Thank you so much, guys, for your thoughts, for your comments. And let's go to the next researcher, Alexandre. Please. Alexandre, are you there? I can already see the slides.
The mic is closed.
Okay, we try to make it. Okay, technical problem solved.
Ah, I see. Okay, so we're just waiting for you, okay?
So, hello everyone. Hello everyone. Is it transmitting?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ah, okay. Good.
Yes.
So I'm glad to be here at last, joining you at the bridge. And my name is Alexandre Zaslavsky. I've been a volunteer of Conscientiology since 1999, and I'm actually one of the editors of the Interparadigmas journal. So my subject here today with you is orthothosene. Not an easy word to say, but I've been interested in this subject. It's been a while, and I finally have an opportunity to talk about it and show some of my ideas about it. Well, First of all, let us review a little bit about the thosene, the general thosene. The thosene is the unit of consciousness manifestation. So everything we do, it's made of thosenes, or we can say it's a thosene or many thosenes. So every manifestation of consciousness has this thosenic nature. A thosene is the sum of thoughts, sentiments, and energies. So thosene is it's a word. How can I say it in English? It's an acronym. Thanks, Ulysses. It's an acronym made of 3 words: thoughts, sentiments, and energies. So consciousness is always producing thoughts, sentiments, and energies. It's permanently producing thosenes. So self-evolution necessarily has to deal with qualifying them. Well, if consciousness is evolving and consciousness is producing thosenes all the time, that means consciousness should qualify the thosenes. And this is what is about this presentation. Well, the elements of the thosene. Thoughts, sentiments, and energy are usually not distributed equally. One is more charged than the others. So every thosene, it has, for example, it could be more charged. The thoughts could be more charged, or the sentiments, or the energy. For example, when a person is exteriorizing energies, like lucidly doing so, this is a thosene charged on the energies. And if a person is concentrated on like feeling something good, this is a thosene, a good thosene, charged on the sentiment. And another example, if I'm like doing a math exercise, this is a simple example, naturally my thosene is charged on the thought. So a charge on the thought means a focus on reasoning. Like I'm actually more aware of what I am thinking, the ideas I am dealing with. So my thosenes are more charged on the thoughts. A charge on the sentiment means a focus on emotions, positive or not. For example, just a few minutes ago, we were debating and exchanging ideas about fear. And for example, if I'm feeling afraid or I'm feeling anxious about doing something, then at that moment, my thosenes are charged more on emotions. Not so good ones, because I suppose nobody likes to feel afraid or anxious, but it is something that we have, like most of us. We sometimes or many times we have, and we have to deal with. And orthothosenes, well, I'm going to introduce the theme, but orthothosene has a lot to do about what do we do with our not so pleasant thosenes. How do we react to them? What do we do when we are not thinking the things we would like to, or feeling? The third element in the thosene is the energy element. The element which makes the content of consciousness manifest is the energy. It makes the difference both inward and outward. So there's no why the thosene is not just made of thought or sentiments, because without energy, nothing manifests. energy is the force, the power that something has. So even if I am like I was saying a minute ago, just thinking about something or very concentrated on ideas, it manifests because it has energy. I am concentrating energy in it. So I said here, it makes the difference both inward and outward. So I can produce a thosene in order to produce something inward, inside myself. So for example, I realize I am feeling like anxious about something I'm about to do. So I can produce a thosene to put more balance inside my macro universe. I have that. I don't know, Eduardo, if I can say this is. I have this freedom, but I can produce a thosene that aims the micro universe. So I wanted to do some difference inside myself or outward too, because everything every thosene, it begins inside the consciousness and it naturally exteriorizes. Like we are some sort of energetic pumps. So it is always like pumping energy from inside out all the time. Energy can be charged either indirectly through consciousness vehicles or directly by the force of the will. So, for example, if I am just very well rested, I slept well, I'm feeling good, somats in my soma, my physical body. So my thosenes will be more charged with energy but indirectly, because I am well somatically in my soma, and it's the same to the other vehicles, but this is like this indirect charge of energy. But I can also charge a thosene directly by the force of the will. So I concentrate myself and I recall, for example, what do I do? I recall my intention. What do I want? So I concentrate on that idea, what I really want, and I try to produce more and more thosenes focused on that intention, and that enhance, increase the force of the will. So this is a technique I use on my thosenes. So orthothosene. Well, I couldn't find a definition in the corpus of conscientiology of orthothosene. I tried to find it, but so I'm proposing a simple one here. Orthothosene is the straightforward thosene of the human consciousness, which manifests cosmoethics. So orthothosene has basically two characteristics or two features, simple features. The first one, it is expressed in the prefix ortho. So it goes straight on a line. It is a logical thosene. It's very chained, linked, one part with the other. It goes on a line, straightforward. Well, this is a kind of, formal feature, but the main feature is the content, because the orthothosene, it is the unit of measurement of practical cosmoethics. So an orthothosene is, in practice, it is manifesting the level of cosmoethics one is able to perform, or the level that the cosmoethics one has. So this is in the Homo sapiens urbanizatus. It is the unit of measurement of practical cosmoethics, not theoretical, practical. Well, the significance of orthothosens. The orthothosenes are most valuable considering the evolution of the consciousness in a practical stance. So, as I was telling you, as I was saying, it is a very practical thing, the orthothosene. And if we consider the process of the evolution of the consciousness, orthothosenes, they are very much necessary. Like they are, how can I say? We can't, like, this is a very, well, significant, important thing. Although they shouldn't be considered as duties, but as the exteriorization of what is healthy within the consciousness. So this is a very important thing to avoid. If I consider that I shall or should do more or produce more orthothosenes, that not necessarily will be an orthothosene. So I can be anxious because I'm not producing enough orthothosenes. Well, that is that is a contradiction. So it's not a matter of performing a duty or fulfilling a duty. But the orthothosene is already the exteriorization of what is healthy within the consciousness. And everyone has, well, at least one more healthier part. And every time I'm doing something balanced, I'm feeling good with it. Not just fun thing, not necessarily, but I'm feeling good with myself. And this something, I will present some examples just after this. So the orthothosene is the exteriorization of that, not a duty, not something that I should worry too much about, but I should allow myself to show that what I do better, what are the good things I have to offer to others. The occurrence of orthothosenes. So orthothosenes happen whenever there is a positive or constructive action, just like I was saying. For example, helping someone present or at a distance. So if I am helping someone, I can be sure that there are orthothosenes going on. I am using orthothosenes if I am helping. Studying a constructive topic. I mean, I'm not studying something to do something good, to add something, not studying something with a bad intention, for example. That, of course, wouldn't be an orthothosene. But if I'm studying a constructive topic, it is, well, or there are some orthothosenes. Thinking positively about someone or something. Well, that happens, of course, during penta practices, for example, when we try to recall the people that we have to improve our relationship with and correct something that didn't went so well. So during the penta practice, we think positively about someone or something. But of course, penta practices is directly dependent on orthothosenes. There's no penta practices without orthothosenes. Being aware of one's own thosenity. If I want to be aware of what I am or what my thosenes are, I think this kind of, well, metathosene, this is some sort of orthothosene itself, like this reflexive thosenes. Making decisions and effort in order to qualify thosenes. Well, this already is an orthothosene. If I want to qualify my thosenes and I'm trying to do it, this is already orthothosenes. these are already orthothosenes. And installing the vibrational state, it is an orthothosene. So when a person installs the vibration state, the energosoma is getting cleaner and it expands. So it is an orthothosene as well. Now the main part of I want to present, personal orthothosenes. The identification of personal orthothosenes can be done by checking one's own holosoma during the course of a constructive action. Well, this is very important because orthothosenes, they are personal, they are singular. Every consciousness has his or her main, very personal orthothosenes. So the thing is, one needs to identify that orthothosenes. Above all, what happens in the energosoma means a lot for that concern. What chakra is more activated and what does it do exactly? So, during the course of a constructive action, for example, that one's in here, for example, but this is not of course, there are I suppose, infinite number of orthothosenes possible. I'm just giving some examples of situations or circumstances that orthothosenes are involved. So if I divide my attention during the course of one of those actions here, these actions here, how is, for example, my energosoma? What chakra is more activated? I think I can produce an orthothosene that deals more with the cardio chakra, for example, or more with the laryngeal chakra, or the frontal chakra, or the crown coronal chakra, or the palm chakras. So it has to, but this is not something we can know in advance. One is to investigate, pay attention, to do self-research of personal orthothosenes. How do them happen? An orthothosene never brings conflict, always brings balance, be it internal or external. Well, but this needs to be properly understood. It never brings conflict, but it can bring unease sometimes, and many times, because if things, either inner or the external things, they are in conflict, the orthothosene sheds light on it. So the orthothosene is not bringing the conflict, but it is showing it sometimes, allowing one or many people to be more lucid about what's going on. So it's not bringing conflict, but it is helping it to solve. How do your orthothosenes work? What balance do they bring? Well, your orthothosenes, again, it's about personal orthothosenes. How do your orthothosenes work? Are they more affective or emotional? Are they more rational? Are they more intellectual? Or are they more manual? What balance do they bring? What kind of balance do they bring? And this leads to another thing that is connected, very, I think, important. I think everyone is interested about this, interexistential specialty. So one important thing in the existential program is to know what is my interexistential specialty. what am I more skilled to help, you know, what sort of assistance I'm more prepared to do. Every consciousness has singular traits and therefore is capable of performing singular assistance. The best kind of assistance one is capable at principle points to the interexistential specialty. So the best kind of assistance or the best assistance one is capable, this points to the interexistential specialty. Orthothosenes, well, some words about the specialty, of course. This could be like more, for example, on writing, specialty, for example, doing assistance in texts, or on teaching, or, for example, giving comfort to people, like, or just giving energies. So the specialty one has is that assistance that has more result, and often is that thing that a person is recognized for. Like other people like ask for it. Like the person is people try to like they ask for it, that kind of assistance. So orthothosenes and the specialty. What role do orthothosenes perform in the interexistential specialty? Every assistance, by definition, is made of orthothosenes, because the orthothosenes, they do the assistance. So the interexistential specialty has a lot to say about personal orthothosenes, and even holobiography and the intermissive course. So if we like try to think further and like try to deep a little more on the topic of orthothosenes, they can say a lot about who a consciousness is. The orthothosenes, the consciousness is able to produce. They say about the interexistential specialty, because like the best orthothosene I have, perhaps it is related to my interexistential specialty. And my holobiography, just my past existences, the best things I could do on those existences, they are accumulated, and they allow me to produce the orthothosenes. And also the intermissive course, because one of the things the intermissive course does is to like focus the manifestation of consciousness, identifying what is the priority healthy features or traits the consciousness in order to prepare them to manifest in the next existence. So the orthothosenes, they are very connected to all that, because as I said, the orthothosene manifests what is healthy in the consciousness. And well, what do we want to know about us than what is healthy on us? What is our good parts? That is what we need first in order to evolve. That is the priority. After that comes like the not so healthy parts, and so the so-called weak traits.
Alexandre, sorry, we have just 10 minutes left now for the debate.
So
just for you to know, right?
I have 4. Can I run and in 2 minutes end it? Okay, so the orthothosens and proaxis, the existential program. So if the identification of the personal orthothosens, they're very linked to the existential program, because the existential program is about performing assistance, first of all, and the orthothosens, they allow assistance. So the more one's life is fulfilled with orthothosens, the better, meaning opportunities of action regarding the interexistential specialty. Which orthothosens do your profession require? Which orthothosens do your family and friends require? And which do your volunteer activities require? So I'm asking these 3 questions because they are connected to the existential program. Those are, these are the first places or environments or situations that the existential program is performed: profession, family, friends, and volunteer activities. Also the gestations, consciential gestations. The consciential gestations will materialize those orthothosens used in well-succeeded clarification tests. Again, interassistential specialty. And the synthesis, identifying personal orthothosens has a great deal of importance regarding self-evolution and the existential program. The orthothosens say a lot about one's identity as consciousness, especially the healthier part, which will lead about everything that matters most. And this is the last one. How many orthothosens do you have? Look, how many? So is it countable? Like there is a number of orthothosens? I personally had listed mine. Some I can produce, and they are like a limited number. There are not so many. What is your repertoire of orthothosens like? What are they like? So I'll finish the presentation with these 2 questions to challenge you. So let's see.
Okay, guys,
Well,
the debate is open.
Hey, this is Dave Lindsay.
Hi, everybody. Here, Ulysses. I am here together with Paulo and our friends in the conference room. Yes, in Sereki. And I have a question for both Alexandre and Eduardo. Okay? Well, I see the perspective that the bridge can evolve to a formal seminar or conference for a large broadcasting or conscientiology. But right now, I see it as a very important resource for our integration in our community. It's very important for us to know each other. So this is my question. I'd like to ask you both, why did you rock those themes, those subjects for our discussion? Because I noted that the discussion was very conceptual, right? So I'd like to ask you, what's happening with your lives for you to bring those subjects into our discussion? So what's going on with you? If you can talk to us in a more closer way, what's happening with you in your lives with those subjects? Okay?
Do you want to, Eduardo, want to start? Or should I start?
Who's going to talk first?
No, go ahead.
Start. Well, Eduardo is about to listen. Well, since I am at the same room with Ulysses, I can start here, maybe.
Guys, just for you to consider, we only have some minutes left, right?
Orthothosenes very useful in my life. Is my microphone on? Let me see if it is. It is on. My microphone is on. Yeah. So I think I had some amount of success dealing with internal conflicts and and emotions. And then I realized that I was using orthothosenes to do that. And for example, I work as a teacher in high school, and it's been almost 20 years since I am working in that. And I found out that during my classes, I produce some sort of orthothosenes that seem to have I don't know, it has some effect on my students. And it is some sort of orthothosene that I concentrate a lot on listening to them. And then I think about what they're saying, and I find what do they need to listen at that moment. And once I was doing a serenarium laboratory here in Foz, and that's where these ideas about orthothosenes came. And I could check what was happening in my energosoma when I was there, and I found out that my frontal chakra sterilizes energies in pulses. But when I am performing it, during the course of action, I didn't pay much attention in that. So when I was at the laboratory, I could check the energetic part of my orthothosene, and that was a very interesting experience. I'm sharing this with you now. So this is one kind of orthothosene I have. I think I listed 5 or 6 orthothosenes that I could name and define. I think that's it.
Can I say something, Alexandre?
Should I
just
turn
one
off
short one.
Eduardo.
Okay.
Eduardo, can you please go ahead?
Yeah, no, I just can say that what is applying in terms of the subject and now in my evolutionary moment is to try to every decision or invitation or choose that I make, I ask to myself, it makes me more free or less free. So it is like a direction when you make some decisions, and then it prevents to me to not to be self-corruption in some decisions that I not thought before with the reflection. And then this issue is now in this last days is very important, is always in my mind, and then I try to put in practice, asking to myself, everything I do, I will decide, I will choose, I ask to myself, it makes me more free or less?
Thank you. Guys, I fear that this is really too little time in order to discuss topics, right? Maybe we can consider in the future to have a bit more time. Maybe that would be better. Otherwise, we just run through the topics, and that would be really, really a pity. So, sorry guys, time is up for today. So now we start with the energetic work in order to finish this session for today, and hopefully we can continue these interesting topics and continue our exchange. Sorry, guys. Okay, so let's start with the energetic work and find a comfortable position, please, okay? And we start with a closed circuit of energy. If you have found your comfortable position, then please accumulate your energies at the top of your head, above your coronal chakra. Collect there a good amount of energy. Then bring these energies through your body towards your feet. Feel the energy flowing. And if you have reached your feet, reverse the direction and bring it up again to the head. And with time, accelerate this energetic flow. And bring the energies up and down. Stay focused and lucid. And produce a strong vibrational state. Increase the vibrational state if you can. Make all your energosoma vibrating to a maximum. Now reduce this vibrational state and come to the exteriorization of energies. Exteriorize your energies through your holosoma, through all your chakras. Fill all your room with your energies. Expand your energosoma. Now try to fill your entire house or apartment with your energies. And from there, expand to your city. Now try and make an effort to expand even more to your country and the planet. Perceive how far you can reach. Now stop the exteriorization of your energies and start the absorption of energies. Absorb the energy from the field that we created together with the helpers. Pull the energies into your energosoma. Absorb even more of these energies. Now please reduce this energetic movement. Stop the absorption. Come back with your attention to your body. And reconnect all your vehicles. Open your eyes. Come back with your attention to this intraphysical dimension again. Turn on the lights. And just give me a sign if everything is okay with you.
Yes.
Okay. Sergio, are you back again? Okay.
That's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Guys, I could not see everyone on the screen here. I hope that everything is fine with you. Everyone back again from this exercise.
I am fine, very well.
Okay. So guys, I thank you very much for this debate, for these topics. I think time is really, really short. It was really running. And I'm really looking very much forward to our next exchange, our next bridge. And I'm sure Paulo and the bridge team, they're already working on it. And maybe you can say some words. I don't know, Paulo, is there anything you want to add?
Okay, Regina, just to mention, I felt a very strong energy field, and it was very easy to install the vibrational state. Thank you. And I would like to thank you all. We would like to thank you all for coming, for participating. And special thanks to Regina for the great moderation. Special thanks to Eduardo and Alexandre for their very good and very interesting researches. And I agree with Regina, maybe the time was a little short, and maybe we can schedule a second The Bridge meeting for deepening their subjects, right, for their researches. And guys, our next The Bridge will be on 19th of March. I'm pasting the date on our chat, and I can tell you one of the topics will be word state. Okay, so I think that's it. Thank you all, guys, and see you on our next bridge.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.